What'd you do? At least the headlights are working. Yeah. Alright guys, I'm back here over at Cassone because I was called to help them out because they're in something of a bind. Let me kind of show you what's going on here. Now, I don't know if there's something in the water out there, but I'm having a hard time driving here lately. So, I don't know if you can see this. I got a mini Winnie that's nearly brand new that I'm guessing hit something right about there. And then this gentleman, he's actually a viewer, really nice guy. He was taking his motorhome out and somebody decided that they needed to put their truck on the front of it and just absolutely crushed it. So that had to be rebuilt. Another gentleman had his Grand Tour just parked in his RV stall or his RV park, and he came back to find somebody decided to hit it and crush the front end of it down. So I'm not sure what's going on with it in the world right now. Back over here on this mini light, this one snagged, I think, an overhead drive-in. And so they had to already do the body work on the side there. And now of course the roof has to be replaced. And on this one, this roof is rotten and it has to be replaced. It's over there scraping the components right there. So they're sure that's all well and good, but what am I doing here? Well, they have a Forza here that needs to get out of here in a couple weeks, and somebody decided to hit the front end on this one too. So this is a 2017 Winnebago Forza. It's a diesel pusher, rear end pusher. And again, somebody hit it right about here. They've already had the body shop rebuild the front cap, hence all this work right there. But the body shop's gone as far as they can until this gets rebuilt. And so they've asked me to kind of help them out and rebuild this compartment for them. We have the new compartment right there and a whole box of parts. So this should be a lot of fun. Now Winnebago, one thing I do like about Winnebago is that they manufacture all their own parts and components, and they have a part number for everything. So you can pretty much get everything broken down and shipped to you because they do make their own parts. It's a strange basement right there. So I need to put this thing back together for them. So there you guys go. You know as much about this as I do. I'm gonna start tearing stuff apart. Probably the first thing I have to do, looking at the electrical box, is disconnect the chassis and house batteries, and then I'll set you guys up and we'll take a look at this. Might be really fast, it might take a while, I don't know. Alright, so first thing we gotta do is disconnect some batteries. Get my battery disconnect tool going. Because, I don't know if you guys can see this right here. Here's some major battery cables hooked up to this panel in here. Even though those batteries were dead, there's no reason to work with them like that. So we got chassis batteries back here. So these chassis batteries from Freightliner, they make it pretty easy. Just have to take off that guy right there. Move that back out of the way. And now the chassis batteries are disconnected. No cables hooked up to ground. Almost brand, those are brand new. We got the house batteries over here. They're probably 1/2 inch. Sure enough. We'll just have to disconnect. So that that ground's just going to the next battery, go to the next battery, next battery. This one's actually going to something right there. And so those are all just in between, and then the last one will be hooked up to something too. These are just as equally new. All right, look at that. Now our batteries are disconnected. Now we can actually get started. Now, I don't know the story on this crash. I know it's always good to know the story. I might be able to ask questions after the fact. But obviously the front end got hit. Ripped out the mirror. They do have a new mirror and some new parts. We'll get that going. So first thing I do is tear this apart, because Chad doesn't want to do it and he's lazy. I'm not really sure where to start right here, but what I like to do is go ahead and take pictures so I know what it's supposed to look like when I put it back together. And then it's always a good idea to do. So I'm going to take some pictures. Take a lot. You don't lose anything for taking a lot. Looks like most of these screws are done. I can take a look at that one to see what this one's supposed to look like. I'm guessing that this is riveted on the front. That's pretty common too. So I'll probably have to drill out those rivets so I can get to the box. So loud up there. Alright, so that's just the face of that compartment. They use a lot of black butyl to seal it off. So this is what that box should be. That's where the electrical connectors go, that big old hop right there. You can kind of see what it's supposed to look like on this side. Now, I know some people will be concerned that this is bent, but that's not bent. That's how that's supposed to be. That didn't get hit. So now it's just time to take some more stuff apart. Now I'll likely be using all new hardware, but these little black screws from Winnebago are really good screws. And you don't want them on the ground for tires to find. Now on a Winnebago, this is going to be your Freightliner chassis box. So this is from Freightliner, and this is Winnebago's power distribution center. But this is a chassis distribution center, so these are mostly chassis related circuit breakers. But Winnebago installs this, so like your seats will be on here, your mirror, your step, more chassis related stuff. All the house stuff will still be on the inside. So I don't know if I'll have to disconnect every single one of those wires. But Winnebago has been doing it for a long time. They label all their wires, so you see JJW. You can actually get a schematic and know exactly what that goes to. Well, if you guys can hear me or not, there's what we would have found inside. So there's a whole bunch of relays. They're all labeled what they're for. We'll unscrew those. We have our Freightliner RV multiplexer right there. So this is going to be part of the computer brain. The red had this too. So I'll just disconnect that, pull that through. I guess Winnebago needed a Lexo battery wire. That's crazy. I don't know. This would have made it from there to that connection just fine. I don't know why they had to do that. You know, you're kind of loud up there.
Disrupting your video?
Disrupting my life. And my video. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and remove this Freightliner controller. There's a little tab right there. Just push down on that. And you can go again. Ooh. So I don't want this thing to get wet or damaged or missing. That extra battery cable. We don't need that. Guess I shouldn't put my phone out in the sun to get hot. That was a odd size 9/32. Hold that together, and then we can pull this thing out. To that, I'm just going to be unbolting where it bolts on up there. But there is one thing. You can see the air horns right there. They mounted it to the back side, so I have to go around the back and take that off too. Then we'll drop this thing. All right, well there it is. A little bit better service access there. So there were nuts holding the whole thing on with some bolts. Those obviously got ripped out, along with that one there. So we just straighten that out a little bit. We can always add a lot more screws if we need to. And then there's just some sealant causing I guess a weatherproof connection through the floor. So there it is. Oh, I forgot the exhaust hanger on the generator was hanging on the back of it too. So now we just have to rebuild this thing. That was simple, right? All right, so here I am in a wheel well. So I'll get the whole thing put back together and then we'll check in at that point. Maybe Chad will stop making noise up there. Maybe. So there's back in. Let's go see what those yahoos are doing. Have to go find a bolt anyways. You guys need some help?
Extra strength wouldn't hurt.
You drying out your countertop here?
Yeah. Everything that has to be done in a week so that cabinets can be put in.
Oh, Chad's gonna get tired. Probably is already tired.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, even I wouldn't have used masking tape. Even I wouldn't have used masking tape on the seams. So I guess Jaco did.
So there's not a ladder on the roof, so who cares?
You won't ever see the roof. Nobody inspects roofs. Yeah, so it looks like water did get behind here. Made it back to there and went straight underneath because the roof's underneath that. Looks like it's down pretty well.
Yeah, it is. A little too well.
Well, if you need help, let me know. Alright, so the only thing I have to take off of this one is going to be those two little guys right there. So we can't do this. isolator studs for the battery cables. Yeah, they're both the same colors. I don't think one matters. Get both those, put them on the other thing. And then I got some sealant over here. We'll seal up these bulkhead connectors before we put them on. I think this is going to go pretty well. Alright, so we do got some pretty good progress to report now. So now I just have to mount these last two boxes here. And once these are done, I can hook up the batteries back up and test everything out. Then go around, seal it up one more time. Yeah. Maybe I didn't tighten that one up all the way. I guess I did. Nice. Yeah, we're looking really good here, guys. Once we get this put back in, once I get this put back in, I'll get you set up again. We'll put the rest of this compartment together, hopefully. All right, there we go. We got you back together again. Electrically, we should be alive. You can see the module back up there, the relays there. All the connections back there. Check them all. And now I can just put these screws in. Alright, let me get all these screws put in and then we'll see about getting some battery power back to life. So I think what's important to realize is when they're building these things, they're building them modular. So modularly. So there's going to be chunks where they're supposed to be taken apart and put back together. So the factory's trying to put these together fast. So they're going to be putting down in stages. So it's not like I have to completely rebuild this thing. I'm just doing what the factory would have done originally. That's why production coaches can be really nice to work on. I mean, especially Winnebago, because all their stuff is built by them. Alright, house batteries and chassis batteries connected. I guess we'll plug it in and see if everything still works. Of course, I fully expect the batteries to be too dead for anything to actually happen anyways. So we'll find out. Alright, battery's dead. Alright, well it looks like battery voltage does better when you plug into a not dead outlet. So that one's dead. That one's not dead. Ugh. Alright, well so far I'm going to call this decent enough. Inverter. House battery, we are charging, so that's at least something. Chassis says not so good. I'll move on to this part. Alright, so I just have that temporary mocked up. I'm gonna have to drill a lot of holes right here for rivets to go in. I'll put some screws in at the bottom so I can drill those rivets out. We did? True. I have to take this back off again because
Guess what?
because we gotta make it waterproof. Well, they just use dum-dum, so I'm just gonna use dum-dum.
Smart. He's using the good dum-dum.
Well, it's a dum-dum they use. Theirs was black, but I imagine gray will be just as fine.
No, gray doesn't seal as good as black. It's a law of color dynamics. The black stuff's always the stickier stuff.
You know that.
Well, it is, but this is still good stuff. Hey, we don't have any black rivets, do we? Maybe ask.
They have body guys and they have paint.
They have paint?
Yeah.
What is paint? I'm not familiar with this, Overlander.
Here.
Think this will work?
Yes.
Oh! You have more than, yeah.
I have most of them.
Ah! Alright, that time I'm good.
That
Got it. First time, nailed it.
thing of beauty.
Now let's see how we do here. Maybe, huh? Mike is grinder. If only. Alright, so I figured out my mistake on this. That piece that's bent is supposed to be bent. That is actually the molding that covers the front cap side, so that's supposed to be bent. And then I found the right molding right here, so I'll just cut off a little bit of it right back to there. This is what actually holds on the belt line molding. We have new molding for that too, but this just goes over the top of it, and then there's a screw in the middle of the hinge that comes from the backwards and grabs onto there. Kind of see where it grabs on right there. All right, so that was pretty simple. I had to put some extra holes in there. We'll seal off the other holes. The next step is going to be this door right there, because I'll already have those hinge points. Winnebago does everything on CAD and uses laser alignment points, so everything should actually line up pretty easily based on their original installations. So a lot of these holes that you see in the walls right there, they're like aligning points, so they already have them out so they can put drift pins in when they're building these things. So these should theoretically be where they need to be for those two hinges, and then I just have that one, and once those are installed, I'll know where to put them over where they land over there. So I'll take these hinges off, and then this bracket right there is bad. I think this is it. But that one's different. Right, so I don't know if I have this one or not, so I don't want to use that other one in this position. So I'll just take this off and straighten it out. It's in bad shape. And don't worry guys, this door has to be repaired too, so just because it's leaning against there doesn't mean I'm disrespecting it. And these hinges I don't need anymore. So let me straighten this out, put this back on, I'll put the door on, then we'll see how we look. This piece goes on this side. I don't know where this whole piece is, so I'm gonna guess it's gonna go right about there.
Oh, look, a fender. No. Shoot, it looks like you're gonna put a door on, and it's gonna be just about donezo.
Dunzo, we still got molding to put on.
Ah, molding. You're molding.
That's what they called me. Alright, now Winnebago gave me all the holes for the hinges right here. That was one of the first things I did on this, was take those bent up hinges off. They were there right there. So now I have these new ones to put back on. They have alignment holes on them, so I will very likely, yeah, they did have set screws afterwards, so that's why you got the alignment one right there, so you can move the door where you want it to be, then you put one screw in on the top and bottom so that the door doesn't sag. Alright guys, I'm kind of running out of daylight over here. I have a mess to clean up. Got this door mounted. Body lines don't look too bad. I won't be able to tell much more until I get the door sill on, the door latch on. I guess we didn't order the door latch. The catch right here is just a piece of angle aluminum. That's the part that broke, so I'll just have to make a new one. That's pretty straightforward. The important part is this right there, and that's not bent. It looks like it's bent, but that's how it's supposed to be. The last thing I can probably do is put the last filler panel on right here. So back over here, you can kind of see where that support went that I was trying to figure out where it goes. And then this beltline molding that goes on, I don't know if you can see this little hole right there. You're going to put a short screw that goes into the molding from behind. So this fender has to be lifted back up in order to put screws back through there anyways. So this is all just to mock up. But man, these hinges are tight on these doors. I didn't know they'd be that tight. They're brand new hinges. So let me just put this on real fast and I'm going to call it a day, I think. Alright, well, I'm going to call that a night. We can't do all the body lines until we get that belt line molding on, because I have to pull these screws back down on the bottom off. So tomorrow's just going to get this door aligned, and really I'll be done with it at that point. Alright, so here's where we're starting out the day today, where we left off yesterday. This isn't secured down below. Have to put some screws at the bottom. Have to put that door lock on. I have to put the new lock, the catch on, so I can know where this is supposed to sit. And then once this door's set, then I can set the fender to where it'll look good. And once the door's set there, then I can set this fender, or that panel, where it's supposed to look good. And once this is set, then I can probably set this side too. So this side is there. You put screws in right into it there. But if you'll notice inside here, this door seal is damaged. And so we ordered a new door seal. And sometimes you have to wonder about people. We ordered a new seal and they sent us our new door seal. It's supposed to be the door seal, and they say there's 1 foot of it. They didn't even give me a foot. They gave me a Subway foot long. So obviously we're gonna have to order that so we can get the set back in here. This seal is actually pretty important. I can't make all the adjustments unless that seal's there, because that puts spacing on the door correctly. But we can move forward with this. You know, I have to get a strut, and the strut bracket will go underneath somewhere here. I'm sure I'll just have to place it. So let me just keep moving along. Okay, put this latch in. This is just your standard RV paddle latch. So these are just the rod retaining clips. The automotive industry uses these a long time too. If you don't have them, most automotive places will have one. Alright, so then it just snaps on and holds it in place. A lot of manufacturers don't use this at all, so I wasn't surprised it didn't have it. But they have left hand and right hand ones, so it's frustrating. It can be quite frustrating. Yeah, you can see left hand, right hand. These don't come threaded in, so it's easier to do that first than trying to balance everything together after the fact. So yes, believe it or not, this little piece of plastic is what is acting as back support to clamp that latch on there. Now, if this was painted, you'd have to make sure that all the paint lines matched up, but it's not painted, so I can do whatever I want. You do want to make sure that it clamps together and that the handle doesn't move. You can over tighten these and lock up the whole system from working. It's usually more common with a metal back than a plastic one. Next thing I have to do is manufacture a new angle bracket. So I'm just using this 1-inch aluminum angle to remake this bracket right there. This was aluminum. It got bent, and once you bend this extruded aluminum, it's gonna crack. So you just can't straighten it back out again. So I just transferred all the measurements to here. I'll drill out these holes on both sides, and then I'll cut it out. Won't be identical, but it'll be pretty close. Well, that's why I'm not a machinist. I just don't have the patience for it. But that'll be good enough. These are just so you can change the where that U-bolt hook goes, so that you can adjust how tight or loose the door actually slams. So it's just little adjustment points. I just go cut this part off, and then we'll be able to mount it. All right, so let's see if I did everything right. No guarantee that I did everything right. I should go like that. Okay, and then looks like that one goes out there, so we should be like that. Well, they lined up. That's at least half the battle. Now, I couldn't tell you why the engineers made this bracket aluminum and not steel. That's a decision that was made way above me. I did make a mistake when I made this before, in that I put a rivet right there, so I may not be able to use that hole anyways. At least not with these screws. Alright, before I lock that down, let's see how this lines up. That's way too low. So, I don't know if you guys can see, where is it hitting right there? So I need to raise this up quite a bit. Otherwise, it's not going to latch behind there. It'll just catch the top of that. Alright. That's why you test it out before you lock it down. Alright. Just like would have it, that hole was too low still too. So I can just put a rivet back in that hole. Now let's see how it goes. Look at that, it latched. It looks like it's barely latching out. You can see how very much it's barely behind there. So I just have to loosen this up, these nut screws, or those nuts, back out that jamlet, and this will move this out a little bit more so it latches better. So I can make that adjustment. Feels like it needs to go in a little bit too, to smash that seal a little bit more. Alright, so I'm getting pretty close to where I want it to be. If this door is hanging a little bit saggy, that's what those hinges are, just have those adjustment slots in them. Once you get it set where you want it to be, you would lock it in with those top holes right there. So those are slotted, so you can adjust that. Now, just a little bit of movement here will actually translate to a lot of movement on the other side. But I'm looking pretty good here. I know this looks crazy, but that's actually how these fenders are mounted on the belt line, and so these doors don't touch the belt line. So that's how it's supposed to be. Then I go to this one over here where you can see the belt line cap on. Oh, I guess open the door and you can see better. There you go. Alright, and with that, the door should be tight on the two hinges there. I'm going to close this one more time. Alright, pretty pleased with the way that worked. I raised it up a little bit. And last thing I need to do on this door, lock in the hinges now. So I just need to drill the holes out and put in 4 more screws that'll lock the hinges so they don't move over time. That's the theory. those 4 screws in now. This door should be locked in its place. And now I just have to put the belt line on. Now, Winnebago shipped us new pieces, but they couldn't ship one that long, so we have to make it out of 2 pieces. What we'll have to do is remove this end cap off this old one to put it on the new one. I've kind of already measured out the first piece where I'm going to seam it. I have to take these screws out that are holding it down, because these have to be a certain length. You can't go too long on those, because these screws right here go through this tiny little edge. This belt line gets held on from behind, so the screws are going to go through right there. If you go too long with them, they'll go out the front and it'll look bad. There are clips right there to screw into the back of the molding. You can kind of see how it works there. Or, see, there's another one right there. Or there'll be holes in the hinge. Same thing. Now, this molding, the first piece is going to land on here. That way I can seam it on this hinge. I'll just drill another hole through the hinge right there, so I can put on the other piece up here. It's hard to see because that door's not on. The last one will be up here. And so in order to put that trim on, the fender has to be back up again. Alright, well the factory didn't give me good 90-degree edges there, so I'll have to go cut those real fast. Alright, so I'm going to have to make a mark on this hinge right there where I need to drill a hole. And the factory, when they cut this molding that they shipped to me, they didn't get a nice 90-degree cut on it, so it was all gapped pretty bad right there. So the seams are pretty normal on these belt lines. In fact, if you come back here, you can see a seam right there. So we're not doing anything that's not factory. It's just one extra seam than it would have had, because this would have been a seam right there anyways. The dirty secret about Winnebago's belt line molding is that we all do it. You can even see sealant up there. Winnebago put sealant on there. It doesn't really do anything whatsoever, because you can see how that belt line overlaps the wall and it goes underneath right there. So even if water gets in here, which it will, because it's not weatherproof underneath whatsoever, you can actually see how much water gets in right there. This is just cosmetic so that nobody complains about it not being sealed. You can seal it, but it's not doing anything. Water's still going to get in there. But we've all been requested to reseal belt line. On Winnebago, you don't have to reseal your belt line. It's just a decorative cap. Alright, so now I got that hole right there. That's where that one's going to end. The last thing that's important to look at, to see how this actually works. The top of this belt line molding is hooked a little bit. You see it hooked? It's actually going to fit behind here. On cabinetry, I believe that's called a French cleat. So when the screw pulls down on it right here, it's actually going to pull it tighter against that molding right there, so it won't pop out. So when you put it on, you just want to make sure that it hooks on the top, just like that. Oof, almost died. Let's see. Now it's hooked up over the top. Now I just have to run all the screws in. Alright, so in this setup I just had to use special tape, pull that fender skirt up, put some screws in there. I'll cut the other one to length and we'll get that one installed. The only thing that's going to be different is I have to put that little plastic end cap on it. And like I said, it's really important to use the right screw, so if you don't have them, take a sample out and go down to the big box store and get one. Looks like these are number 8 by 5/8. All right, and just like that, the molding's on. So when I say that belt line molding doesn't get sealed by anything, we'll still cap it because people get obsessed about this not being sealed. And it does technically hold this cap on, or the trim on a little bit, but it's not weatherproof or gonna keep it from leaking. And there it is. So it's kind of frustrating because if you look at this belt line right here, even though I have it laying down on the paint, there's just enough kinks in it that it would have been pretty noticeable, and then to body work it would have been pretty bad. So there's just so many stripes that are gonna have to be put in just for that tiny little piece of molding. All right, well, let me get this thing wrapped up and we'll call it a day. All right, so with that, I'm pretty much done. The only thing, like, that body line looks fine. We're lined up pretty well right there now. Pretty even body line right there, and pretty even right here. The only thing I'm not a big fan about is right here. It's hard to see. It's a little bit gapped right there. So what I'm gonna do is put a bumper on there. Lots of Winnebagos do this too. So this little bump right there will push the top of the door out just a little bit. Should just bump it out just a little bit to keep it flush. Okay, so I just put a little bump right there. It'll bump it out a little bit so it's a little bit better. Don't want to put too much pressure on it. But it'll go right against the frame of the door right there. And you can kind of see the dust line of that seal, so it is sealing really well. Alright guys, so with that, I've done everything I was asked to do to get this thing back into the body shop so they can finish up the body work, put that molding on, and then paint all the way down and get it ready to go.
Good job,
There's
James.
one thing I have to do. If you guys remember, I have these breakers right there. I need to check all that out, make sure it's still working. Now that the batteries are charged, I need to make sure that all these things still work. So you know what that means? I'm gonna have to go inside and test this whole thing out. So I don't know if you guys want to watch me do a little walkthrough on this 2017 Forza, but if you want to join me, I'll make a video about it. Look at that. They actually got the roof done while I did this for them. So it was worth doing. I mean, some might say they didn't work on this constantly when I was working on the other thing, so maybe they were relying on me too much. But who would say that? Because look at that. They didn't finish this one. Such slackers. Dang guys, you already got this one put on. You're so good. Why are you guys always so good?
Well, they don't pay us to be bad.
Oh, and you don't have time to be bad?
Who uses this stuff, James?
What?
Who uses this stuff?
What is it?
No idea what it is.
That's extreme.
You can't expose. You can't put a screw gun through it.
I think it's extreme.
Stream?
Yeah.
Stream what?
Sealant.
Cheddar?
What?
Stream cheddar?
Uh-huh.
Weird thing to put on your roof.
You know, you're kind of loud up there.
Disrupting your video?
Disrupting my life. And my video. The video is more important.
think of all the views I'm gonna get on this.
It's a good way to make money. It's brought to you by Carl's Jr.
Why do you keep saying that?
It's a good way to make money.
Every time I say it, duh.
They pay me.
Rondo.
The thirst mutilator.
My boy here, not sure. Got a plan to fix the environment and the economy and the plants. Fix everything.
It's brought to you by Carl's Jr.